ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Emotional damage.
Keep your damn mouth shut.
Guess who?
Who is this?
My name is Jeff.
What are you doing, Steph-bro?
You are part of the Rebel Alliance, Infantry.
Get out! Get the fuck out!
You can't handle the truth.
Dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Hello?
Oh my God!
Hey,
I'm off the deep
you ever been in love?
Daddy!
You're in love.
I love you.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
That was intense. Hey, what's going on, guys? Good evening. Man, it is late to be starting a podcast and stream, but you know what? Here's the best part. Video on demand, anytime. So if you pop in tonight, welcome. Good to see you. If you're out there on the peripheral like I know you are, don't be afraid. Pop in. I think I loosened the chat regulations a little bit. I think you only have to be a member for like 5 minutes and then you can chat. I didn't realize I had like very restrictive guidelines on there until I started poking around the other day. I was like, oh, no wonder nobody ever chats, because I make it impossible for them to do so. Yeah, something like they have to pay $100 and crap like that. I don't know why you guys aren't into it. I don't understand. Let's see, lower third ad. Ooh, dad bod biker beard. Okay, what did I just do? Show up. Show. Hey, look at that. Oh, this is fun. So I'm in my old Restream studio instead of doing it through Zoom and then multicasting from there. I'm still multicasting. I just hadn't played with this for a while, so I thought it could be fun. Ticker, Restream, and what should we put on the ticker? It is late. Do you know where your daughters are? Daughters, not plural possessive. Let's see if we can add that. Add. No, that didn't work. Oh, this. There we go. Yeah, much better. Yeah. I remember how this works now. Sorry, I get excited about dumb things. Captions, chat, graphics. So we're up to 369 or 370 Twitch fans. So things are going well on that account. Let's see. Let's take a look at the details here over on Twitchy. 363 followers. 2 subscribers, because I don't harass anybody about that any longer. Just chatting. That looks right. Looks like we're live. Rock on. So I was taking a look at some stuff in the interwebs recently, and if you know me, you know I like searching the interwebs to find interesting things to do, things to see, things to think about. It's kind of ridiculous because I work at this desk now. This is my working desk. It's got 4 monitors, 2 computers. and a cell phone. My daughter says hi. She says hello. Can I hang out with Logan tomorrow? I don't know, maybe. When? That's how I have an 850 square foot house, and the kid's going to communicate with me via cell phone. So I have always been very careful with my cell phone. I don't know if you are a drop your cell phone sort of person. I was always so careful with my cell phone that I used to not even have it in a case. And I would feel confident that I would never, ever break it. And then something happened. One day, I balanced my my phone on the gas tank of my motorcycle, and I was sitting like side saddle with the kickstand down. Just kind of leaning up against the bike, waiting for somebody to come out of work. And without thinking, I swung my leg back over the gas tank, and because I have short, like little man legs, even though I'm like 6'1", I kicked my phone violently onto the ground, like violently. It was like, imagine Bloodsport. All right, yeah, Bloodsport. And our guy Jean-Claude Dukes, he's been blinded by Sammo Hung, who ground up I don't know, cocaine powder and threw it in his eyes or something. And Dukes, searching around in the darkness and his blindness, starts doing these roundhouse kicks, very fluidly but very big sweeping kicks in order to try and find Sammo Hung and take him out, because otherwise he's going to lose the kumite, and that's not going to go well. So I was nothing like that. Yeah. I could not even swing my I couldn't even swing my leg over a short saddle motorcycle. I have a Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Limited Custom. You know, when you buy it and it says Custom Limited on it, then you know it's good. You're like, what's custom about it? And like, well, it has these orange things on it. We put orange on the rims, and we put orange stripe on the black gas tank, and then there's some orange caps on some engine stuff. I'm like, wow, orange and black. Is that custom or is that limited? They're like, we think it's limited. I said, well, what's the custom part? That would be the engine. It looks like a 900cc engine. What's special about it? Oh, it's a 959cc. I'm like, oh, well, shit. We're hiding 59 cubic centimeters from people. Woo, baby. What is this, 55 horsepower? Yeah, that'll pull my 270-pound ass around. It does all right, but anyhow. So, yeah, there's me looking like Jean-Claude Van Damme, swinging my leg over the bike, and bam! I somehow, oh, and this is the best part. I have a clamp. I have a motorcycle mount. I have a mount for my phone. It was about, I plugged it in because I bought an aftermarket kit, obviously, because 2009 Kawasaki Vulcan did not come equipped with a USB charger. So I bought one and put it in after the fact. I had it plugged into the charger, but could not move it 1.5 feet, maybe 1 foot, to mount that bad boy into the protective mount. No. So somehow I clip it with my foot, and I feel it click, and it goes spinning up in the air. And then I do this like kind of round out my leg to try and get it to come down, and then I kick it again. So it's like kick it up in the air and then kabam, and I'm wearing boots. I knew it was not going to survive that, because that was not a fall, that was assault. I assaulted my phone. So I remember I just felt this, I felt disappointed. And I was like, wow, in my lifetime of owning cell phones, Now I lost one cell phone. I had a clamshell, POS back in the day. It was before the Razor, so it was just a chunky one that apparently I had on my lap in my Honda. Got out of the car, it fell on the ground. I drove away. Outside of that, I didn't have any other phone fatalities. This one though, I kicked his ass so hard. It was the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. So it was about 6.2 inches from, corner to corner. Like I knew that chip in the corner was going to be fatal at some point. So it was broken in the corner of the screen right here. Right here. It was just enough so my thumb would hit it all the time and get like a little shard of glass in it. So then I immediately, as a responsible phone owner, I'd had it for 2 years. I took it to get repaired, which means I took some Scotch tape off my desk, and then I put that over the broken glass. I didn't want to stab my thumb. Yeah. And then I was like, wow, look at me. I'm poor white trash. I remember my boss the next day, looks at my phone, he goes, do you have tape on your phone? I'm like, yes. You know how much my alimony and child support is? How much you guys don't pay me? You'd be like, just go get your screen fixed. I'm like, as if like $200 is not like more wisely spent on cocaine and booze. You guys are idiots. That's my salary for the 2 weeks at $200. I'm not putting it on the new screen. I have tape. I'll just replace the tape once it gets dirty. So I put my phone in the case finally. And it lasted another year and a half. It did. But then I got into a really bad habit. And I mentioned this before on the show. I got into a bad habit of falling asleep here at this desk. So, you think like, why is that a bad habit? Well, a couple of reasons. Because I have a bed. I have a bedroom. In between the bed and the bedroom, I have a couch. You would think that laying down on either of those two would be a much better way to get some sort of REM sleep or rest. As I show you how to watch, this is funny. I'm not tired. As I tend to sleep for about 3 to 4 hours a night only. I started to find that as long as I wasn't falling out of my desk, which I have done about 30 times, as long as I wasn't falling out of my chair, then if I fell asleep in the chair, let's say I was leaning back a bit, then I was fine with it. It's fine. I would wake up and I would be in that alpha wave. I would be like so refreshed. I look around, I'm like, what day is this? Did I sleep until Wednesday? This is amazing. And it felt so good to fall asleep unknowingly, as opposed to making a routine out of it. That I just brought my my toothbrush out here, put it next to my computer in case I woke up at 4:30 in the morning when I had to brush my teeth, and then took another nap. So here's a bad habit. Here's another bad habit. I would have my phone in my hand, and invariably, as you start to fall asleep, it would fall out of my hand, and it would hit the ground. Now I have tile floors, and I'd be nodding off, thunk. Oh man, you're thinking you only dropped it 2 feet, right? It's not that bad. Now here's the thing: if you drop it 2 feet, but you do it 3 times a night for like a year and a half, eventually, when you're taking the kids to Nationwide Vision to get their eyes checked out, the fact that the sun in the desert is warm, and as we were driving, we had the sunroof open. Just the direct sunlight just finally my phone couldn't handle it anymore, and it went yellow from the bottom half down. Yellow. I'm like, why yellow? So at this point, it had grown. This chunk of this little broken piece was now as big as my fingerprint of missing screen, and it was just rubber back there. And my phone goes yellow from the bottom half, and I'm trying to like coax it, like, come on, baby, come on. You're like when I can picture like my sister or somebody trying to coax an animal back to life. One of my kids trying to get a rat back to life or something. It's okay, don't go. I'm like, we have 40 rats. Just, how can you tell when one dies? Like, just let them eat. Eventually, there will be one big rat. But that was me and my phone. I was like, come on, baby, come back. I was brokenhearted. You would be too. And I thought, man, I dropped that phone every night, many times a night. And then I would drop myself because the piston in my chair, I've got this Lazy Boy office chair. It's quite comfy. I couldn't understand why my neighbor was getting rid of it. Bulk pick up my ass. Kids, go get that chair. Take this one and swap it out. I upgraded from the gaming chair that had no padding and no piston to a Lazy Boy. Whose piston didn't give out right away. But after it only took a couple of hours for me to realize why my neighbor got rid of it too. It's so funny. The neighbors have literally traded furniture with each other like 3 times. It's because it's like we're donating like perfectly good stuff. We're just like it no longer fits, or you got something better. Put it on the curb, and it's another neighbor who comes and checks it out. What do you got here? Well, this is last season's mattress. For the sailboat. Oh, you have a sailboat? Yeah. Don't you have a sailboat? No, we live in the desert. Well, yeah, we take it out to the Gulf of Mexico 3 times a year, and this was the mattress for last season, and I'm like, this is a brand new mattress and box spring. Yeah, we literally slept on it 3 trips, 3 nights. Yeah, that's about it. 9 times we slept on this. I was like, well, did you murder anybody on it? No. Well, shit. You want to help me carry this into my house? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Daddy's got a new bed. You got a neighbor who has a sailboat. It's a decent mattress. I don't sleep on it. I fall asleep in my chair, or I sleep, or the couch. Occasionally, the floor. So worst habit that happened, and then we're gonna transition into interesting finds on C-SPAN. Did you know C-SPAN started 40 years ago as an offering from Cable Network News, and they've been able to put the government's business on cable for 40 years at no cost to them. So we're gonna take advantage of that today. We're gonna look at some cool stuff. You guys didn't know that C-SPAN is cool, did you? I will show you how cool it is. So we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Oh, and I learned how to make viral short videos for YouTube. Take a look at those too. Yeah. My YouTube game has definitely gotten kind of a bit stronger. So anyways, C-SPAN, some YouTube stuff. And then I'll show you some nude pictures of. We'll just wait, find out. It'll be worth it. So if you haven't already, follow, like, subscribe, hit a button, tell a friend. If you have Amazon Prime, you can also get Amazon Prime Gaming. It costs you absolutely nothing to take your Amazon Prime Gaming credit and apply it to Jeffrey Sinatra channel here at Twitch. It gives a couple of bucks. I'm trying to outpace last year. Not really. I haven't really tried to do anything with this channel. Strangely, it's tripled in size. But I stopped trying to sell Amway to my friends. You know what I mean? I figured I'd just use this as an entertainment platform. And I know digital marketing, and I've been making ad revenue by selling other people's stuff to people who aren't my friends. Pretty smart, huh? Bad habit, part 3. I liked waking up in my chair because I felt like, oh, that was a nice transition into some REM sleep. The piston in my chair, was driving me closer to the ground, and I didn't realize it, but as that piston was going down, my legs would get at a certain angle because of distance, to the ground. And if I would pitch forward at all, I would get to this fulcrum point. I have video of it. I don't think I want to show it to you guys. I have video of myself crashing into everything. So my feet would be on the ground. I would start to lean forward a little bit, and the chair only sits straight up. However, depending on my angle, if my feet are underneath me a little bit, I would hit this fulcrum, and I would literally launch myself out of the chair into, the very first time, into this desk. And it's it's probably 5 foot, 6 foot desk. What do you think? 5 feet? It's it's a wedge. It's in the corner. This is the crazy part. I wake up and I realize that I'm moving towards, or I'm moving through the air. And this only lasts for 1 second. But I realize that I'm floating in space. And as I'm waking up, I'm going, oh, floating in space feels so nice. I said, oh no, crash! And I slammed my face into the desk. And I was like, that hurt. Now I'm on the floor on my hands and knees. I'm underneath my desk. I'm bleeding. I'm touching everything, trying to figure out where I'm bleeding from. I tore the gauges out of my ear, one of my ears. And as I reached up and I realized, like, this is blood. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I wiped it off on my shirt. And I'm like, I'm still sleepy. And then I can feel like it's slowing down. I'm like, oh, it's not bad. It's not a lot of blood. It's just a little bit of blood. I get up and I sit back in my chair. Now, you would think that as I launch myself through space, and like when you're somewhere around your delta wave sleep, and that's when your body gives out and goes limp. That's right around when you're gonna hit that REM sleep, which is delta theta. Those wavelengths is so peaceful there that coming out of it into beta and alpha was so pleasant. And that moment I was weightless, flying through space, was so peaceful that I didn't mind the fact that I had hurt myself. And I thought, it's worth it. And I got back in my chair. And sure enough, I faded off. Somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. And in his final words, he found a face that made him weep. I fall asleep again, and sure enough, I pitch forward again. And I crash into the same spot on my desk. Now, this desk doesn't move. This desk is not IKEA. Okay, it's particle board bullshit, but it's not IKEA. It's solid. It doesn't move. Plus, it's up against walls. It's not going anywhere. It's like I live in a 1945 post-war bungalow that was built out of cement. So these walls are solid. The fact that you can even I even have stuff mounted on the walls, that's like takes an act of God, a lot of cement. So crash. I look up. I'm underneath the desk again. I'm like, I'm so glad I live alone. And then suddenly I realize this is why divorced men die sooner than married men. It's one of the many reasons. One of the many, many reasons. There's no logic in it. And I tell Rebecca, the love of my life, I tell her what happened. I take a picture of my bloody head in the morning, like an hour later. She's up at 4 a.m. to go work out because she's a badass. And I do not because I'm a fat ass. So I take a picture of my bloodied head. I'm like, fell out of my chair again. Like a matter of fact, shitter's full. She's like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Like, fell out of my chair, hit my desk, hit the desk. He said, but I'll tell you about it later. I have to explain that moment between Theta, Delta, realizing I'm flying, so peaceful, and crash. That hurt. But it's kind of like hitting. I think this is why drunk people survive accidents a lot, because I feel like my body's. I just went limp, so I didn't fight it. So wherever I crash, my head or my face, or my shoulders, or my arm, or my back, my knees, I've now injured all of me at some point. It didn't hurt as bad as you would think. You think it would hurt worse. So I first night I threw myself out of the chair 3 times into my desk, and then I thought, as I'm talking to Rebecca later on, she's like, what are you going to do different? I said, I'm going to face away from my desk. This is my plan. Just change the chair. Duh. She's like, why don't you go to bed? I'm like, I am. Fall asleep. Here. So I have crashed into my box fan with the cover off and the blades going on high speed 3 times. I have separated I still haven't put the cover back on. I took it off because it was dirty. I wanted to clean it. I didn't put it back on because I'm like, I'm a rebel. Watch what happens. Yeah, of course, that night I had fallen asleep. 3 o'clock in the morning, probably. It was on a weekend. And I feel myself flying through the air for longer because the desk is like very close to me. So it's a very short trip. Going the other direction, it feels like an infinite trip. I'm like, I'm flying. And I'm like, oh no. And I hear the fan crash. I literally, the blade came off. Whew, pow! Hit the wall. Came off from my face. I took the fan off with my face. I was a little dinged up. I had a couple. I think I had a mark on the side of my nose or something. I did actually. I had a mark on the side of my nose. I'm like, I can't believe I haven't been more injured. Like, surprisingly. So when the kids are here on the weekends, like, Dad, go to bed. Dad, go to bed. Dad, go to bed. Dad. Fine. Well, a handful of times when I didn't listen, I threw myself out of my chair, and the chair goes flying up sideways. So the chair will turn upside down completely. I have woken up where I crashed into my half of my desk, hit one of my subwoofers that I have not a fish tank, it's a critter cage with my my boy rats and a couple of my boy rats. I smashed my head into their cage, bent it, but they didn't come out. He came like sniffling my hair. Is he okay? Is he dead? He should be. He's an idiot. I'll tell you one intelligent thing that I did. One, other than I got a Coleman camping mattress and I put it on the ground. So in case I launch myself out of my chair, I just go back. I go to sleep on the mattress. Like, what happened to you, Jeffrey? You're 48 years old. Is this what happens when you're 43 and you're what you thought was your forever spouse decides she doesn't want to play with you anymore, and she sends you off into the wilderness to figure yourself out? And this is how you figure yourself out? Yes. You did therapy? Yes. Did antidepressants for a while? Yes. I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of education, a lot of yoga and meditation, and dived back into my relationship with God, and made new friends and fell in love, and doubled my income, and did all these pretty damn cool things in the last couple years of the 5, but tiny things that I haven't mastered yet are living like an adult. I mean, look what's behind me. All right, that's Pennywise the Clown mask, and I have it on a stand, or I think it's for my green screen. I think it's one of the legs for my green screen. And then that is a priest robe that I bought just for a gag on Self Help Show during the week. So that's just a gag. See, this is how grown up. Then I got my Trumpy stuff there. Got the $50 My Buddy doll who's hanging over there. That's just that was just to upset Missy because she hates that guy. And then I think behind me, oh, well, that one's not set up with a mask right now. How about this one? I got this scarecrow looking guy who's Ultron mask. I've got a Viking helmet with, I think the face is Wakanda Forever. Yeah. This is the part that happens when you live alone, like alone for like 4 or 5 years, is you start to do whatever you want. And you realize that had my mom not thrown away my Luke Perry picture, "He's So Dreamy," or my Lamborghini Countach or Ferrari Testarossa pictures, I would still have them on my wall. And you would too, man. You know you would. You know you would. So don't act like me falling asleep at my computer and taking apart various forms of furniture with my face is reckless, because you all know that you've had your nights where you're one drink away from waking up out in your fucking driveway with your neighbors poking you to see if you're okay. And you wouldn't be surprised. So don't act like you haven't been there. I picked this up at the Mormon store. This is an anal probe. So, wrong side. Oh, nope, right side. So, I picked this up because I said, "Oh, look, it's aluminum tube. I wonder what it does." And then I pulled on it and I said, "Oh, look, you can make s'mores." What do you think? I said, "Look, it's a giant s'mores thing." And I thought, well, maybe, or maybe because it has a handle on it, maybe this is what people use when they give a crap about the environment and they're out on their hike and they're picking up trash. And I said, oh, that makes sense. It's a trash picker thingy. And it is. so you can, skewer your trash and go for your walk around your neighborhood and clean up also. Or if you're a lazy bastard like me and you decide that you want to open this curtain right here, then I didn't think about this when I bought it, but as soon as I got home, I did. I said, oh, this is so handy. If you want to take your blackout curtain off the hook, because otherwise they're flush to the wall, they don't slide, then I can hook it up here, and then I can open up the blinds, and viola, as they say. Open and close curtains, not even have to get out of my chair until I'm damn good and asleep. Pretty smart, right? 3 times I've used this to do that. And I set it down. And in my head, I thought, you were going to kill yourself. You're literally going to fall asleep and kill yourself with this thing. And there's going to be no forgiving that. I pick it up. I put it away. Every time. I put it down here. Flush on the ground. I think I'm obviously willing to take the other risks because I know that they exist. I'm not stupid. I've been a licensed insurance agent for 25 years. I understand risk and I understand negligence, failure to act in a reasonable or prudent manner. It's another reason why my insurance costs as much as it did when I was a kid. I was at least smart enough to go, you know what? I don't think me throwing myself out of my chair into a 3-foot-long double-pronged skewer and killing myself is going to really be something that my kids want to experience. So that's when I realized I'm a risk taker. I enjoy the risk. It's fun. Obviously, I'm willing to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous decisions. But I don't have a death wish. Even with the plastic ceiling or the plastic box fan, in my head, I made an assessment. My whole life, I've always made quick judgment and assessment about what's going on around me, and I make those decisions. And I have, for the most part, been cautious, even when I was making, choices to go to raves and, ingest things that, whatnot. I was making rational decisions irrationally, but I was making irrational decisions rationally, I guess. All the way up to some deleterious effects that I had for some of those decisions that I had made. But I always felt like I had some sort of control, even when I was out of control. So I'm trying to figure out what is it now that, or at least I'm sorry, it was probably for a 6-month stretch, that I was willing to fall asleep, throw myself into my desk or onto the floor into a fan over a stereo. I hurt myself. Like I had to get out of the shower and I look in the mirror. I'm like, why do I have all these bruises everywhere? And I'm like linebacking my furniture in my house while I'm supposed to be asleep. Why is it that is an acceptable risk? But I know better to not allow myself to get stabbed. Like, that changed, just so you know. I had a moment. Here's a moment. I was on the interwebs, and there's like, comedians gone too soon, Bob Saget. I thought, wow, what was the determining cause of death with him? Like, I remember they said that he had some obvious injuries to his cranium, and that it appeared they never said what the cause was, but he had this damage to his head, and then he was fine, and he was cognizant and talking to his family, and then he went to sleep and he never woke up, and apparently bled out in his brain and died of a cerebral aneurysm, I'm guessing. And right at that moment, this was last week, right at that moment, I reached up and I touched the top of my head. And I felt these scabs and these bumps up here from my recent foray into my desk. And I said, oh shit. Yeah, that ends. As far as we know, Bob Saget hit his head once. However, he knocked his noggin around. It was enough to create subdural hematoma and then bleed out in his brain, and took him out. I had that moment that almost made me cry when I touched the top of my head. I said, how have I been letting this happen to me? Why was that acceptable? Why didn't I put two and two together that smashing my head into things where I have a huge head and I'm known for having a thick skull? What if I was like one fall out of my chair away from killing myself accidentally? I was worried about, I wasn't worried about the superficial parts. I was like, oh, I was bleeding because... No, Jeffrey. That's ridiculous. That's asinine. You should never answer a question of, I put myself in a situation to injure myself, and I don't care. I enjoy the moment leading up to and the moment after that injury, because it's like I'm acknowledging that I'm asleep, and that feels good because I don't sleep well. And then I pass back out probably because I'm bleeding in my brain, and know that I'll probably throw myself out of my chair again, and it'll remind me that I'm sleeping again. And then I'm like, wow, I have been so starved for calm since July of 2017 when I had to walk away. I slept fine before that. I could sleep before that. I could sleep 8 hours easy, 10 hours sometimes, 12 hours sometimes. I can't sleep longer than like 2.5, 3 hours at a clip. I haven't done it except for in 5 years. I slept like that 4 times. One of the times my kids were with me during fall break. This is fall break, isn't it? Oh shit. Next week, yeah, next 2 weeks. My kids were with me during fall break, and I had them in the guest house at my friend John's house, and it was raining out, and everybody was under like the rain was perfect, the weather was perfect. We were all under our beds in the same guest house, and we were under our comforters, and it was this perfect. I had the 3 of them there. I just felt like we're okay. We're okay. We're okay. I don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. I had a moment of peace. That was probably 2018. That was 2018. I got sick during the summer of 2019. No, 2020, 2019. I don't know. Think of the next year. I got sick. I had the flu. But it was like probably this time of year. I think it was fall break again. I had the kids with me. Had a blow up mattress out here, and we're at this house finally. And I think I slept for like 12 hours. That was pretty crazy. And I had the kids with me, and I knew everything. Like, I have the kids with me on the weekend, but it's always like this scattered existence, and especially now that they're older, I don't even have them regularly. Hannah's trusty. She's always here. Haley has a job, so she's just either coming back from my house or mom's house. Hunter just got a job too. But it's scattershot. I don't always have them all with me, and I know I won't. Not at 15, 17, 19. Like those days are over. So I'm gonna have to learn how to sleep. The other couple of days that I slept, like was with Rebecca, and it's like she didn't have any kid responsibilities. I didn't have any kid responsibilities. We didn't have there was no like hurried schedule. There's oftentimes like when we get together, there's stuff to do and there's schedule and like just she doesn't stop. I don't stop. It's just go. But first night we had like no children and just the two of us. I fell asleep and it was just like I remember probably 4 or 5 different times during the night. I'd wake up a little bit, and then I'm like situational awareness, like wait, where am I? And then I would feel her grab a hold of me, and then she would like she would kind of like giggle, like, and then I would smile. Like somebody reached out in the dark for me. I was happy that I was there. And I didn't mind that she did that like every hour. It was fine. She's like, I'm so sorry. I kept waking you up. I'm like, I thought it was just waking up, but yeah, I think it was you. But I'm fine with it. Trust me. It's nice. It's nice to have somebody hold you and hug you because they want to. And those are the next couple of times where I slept because I felt like everything's okay. Like I don't have to worry about anything. When I'm by myself, I don't sleep well because I just being detached from the family, even knowing that the kids are fine with Lisa and Carrie. It doesn't matter. It's just not the same. It's just something got switched. And I was talking to Rebecca about that. I said, it's not just that I lost my kids, but I lost my family unit. It became borrowed 57 hours a week at $1,000 a paycheck. It was like a lease with an option to buy, but I no longer had my family. I didn't have my spouse and partner and my kids. And then dating for that, I didn't date as far as they knew at all. They knew they've known of a couple of people, except for other than Rebecca. Like 2 people, I think, maybe. But they were my focus. My kids were my focus, 100%. If I happened to see somebody, it was never with my kids. They were separate. They were my 100%, 150% priority. And I didn't realize how much that was part of the loss too. And it's not that I miss her. I mean, I miss parts of her. I miss some parts of her. And we talk about it sometimes. Not like longingly, but you can't be with somebody for 20 years and not be connected, for God's sake. Now that we don't have anything to fight about, we get along quite well. I miss that camaraderie. I miss having a partner. And it's different. When I met Rebecca, I was like, here's a woman who's fiercely independent and fiercely codependent. Well, she works really hard at not being codependent, but she knows it's part of her nature. She's a career woman, workforce manager, And then she's got her 3 kids that she does 95% of everything for them. And she never misses Elf on a Shelf. She never misses a birthday. She missed school pictures. And she's beating herself up over it. And I'm like, well, what about the kid's dad? Well, he doesn't do anything. He can't keep track of that. His whole existence is take the kids to school and pick them up and bring them back. Jesus Christ. You can't do everything, sweetheart. They still got their picture taken. They just didn't look as cool as they could have, I guess. But I'm like, meeting somebody who 100% understands the pressure of being primary financial provider for your kids and their way of life being dependent on you, and you wanting them to have the things that you didn't have, or that you thought that maybe you should have. I think we all want something a little better for our kids. Meeting somebody who had those same priorities, and at the same time, I'm like, you bring home the bacon and you kill the pig and you cook the bacon, then you scream at your mom to do the dishes. Her mom lives with her too. And she takes care of her dad, who lives like 30 miles away. She's a caretaker. So falling in love with somebody like that, I was like, I look forward to when things settle, things even out. I've got some responsibilities with my youngest kid that are keeping me from moving to California right now. And that's okay. My goal is to split time more often, a couple weeks there, a couple weeks here. But my priorities are my kids, so I'll be where they need me to be. Sorry. Even though Rebecca is frantic sometimes, she's a ball of energy, and she's go nonstop. She thinks I'm type A psycho. She needs to. I don't know. When I grab a hold on to her, I said I didn't know that I would like to be Big Spoon and Little Spoon. Usually I'm like, I'm sweating, get off me. I said, but I said, you taught me, and I don't think she wasn't trying to teach me a lesson, but there was something about her that got me to just get rid of any preconceived notions that I had about myself in a relationship, myself with somebody else. This obviously hasn't worked out yet. I keep trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And for the love of God, I have paid cash for all 4 of my kids. It's got to be me, right? It's got to be me. I got to be the tough one. So I just let all that shit go, and I stopped making declarations about myself, which was actually part of my self-help recovery, was to stop labeling myself and just being me. Just stop. I'm not a product of all my past experiences, and I'm not the voice in my head. I'm not the monologue in my head. I'm more than just the voice in my head, and I'm more than just an amalgamation of my prior experiences. I'm whoever I need to be, whoever I want to be. And that was pretty remarkable when I let my guard down and I quit thinking in terms of my past failures, and I quit thinking in terms of how do I avoid repeating the things that did not work in prior relationships. What I found was that I didn't manifest them. And like I said, as simple as, oh, I'm not a cuddler. I'm more of a, post-coitus, go clean the house. Right? And I thought, like, why was I always energized after sex? Well, I'm a dude. I mean, some people are like that, I guess. Traditionally, it's smoke a cigarette and go to sleep sort of thing, but I've never been like that. And I said, well, maybe I wasn't a cuddler because Intimacy scared me. Like real intimacy, real vulnerability. Like real. I'm like, that's probably it. I remember telling her, I said, look, she's like, you big spoon, little spoon, no spoon. I'm like, I'm whatever feels right. Whatever feels right. I'm not gonna use self-limiting descriptors for myself or our relationship. And as soon as I start doing that, as soon as I start labeling and bucketing everything, I have to change it. Because if I do that to myself or I do that to you, it's like I have resigned myself to that's as good as it's going to be. And I don't want that. I want a relationship that's based on honesty, whether it feels good or not. We're going to have passive aggressive tendencies, and I know I do, because I'm sarcastic as fuck. And when if I say something in a passive aggressive manner, if I don't self-correct, I'll at least evaluate why I said it, and then we'll have to have a discussion about whatever that reason is, that thing that I've been holding back. She's taught me she doesn't like it when I make declarations about her as absolutes. Like I may be frustrated at her for a situation, right? Like she might snap at me and call me an asshole or whatever the thing might be. And this took me a while to get, and this is until recently actually. In those situations where I'm like, look, I don't like it when you talk to me like that, when you use that tone of voice, and then when you cuss at me. Like I don't respond well to it. If you want to guarantee that we're gonna have struggle communicating, then make sure that your responses to me include tone and a cuss word, because that just puts me at ease. That's my sarcasm. Yeah, like what the fuck, Jeff? Like stuff like that. That's like soothing to my soul, baby. That makes my heart feel all happy. I don't feel like most men do with their women, which is we want to make sure you're okay, and we want to put a smile on your face and make sure you're okay. No, I'm like the opposite of that. I want you to be angry, have tone, and then curse at me. That makes me. So I remember I told her, I don't like it when you do that. How did I say it? I don't think I called her. I don't think I called her a bitch. Maybe a jerk or something like that. But I believe what I said was like, "You're a jerk," and I didn't realize what I was doing because she was like, she got frustrated with me, and she had to explain it to me later. She's like, "You're not hearing me." She's like, "I don't like it when you make absolute statements about me as a person when you're frustrated at me." I said, "Well," and of course now I want to defend myself. Well, I feel like the fact that I didn't yell at you and the fact that I said, "Listen, when you do that, it makes me feel like this. And I feel like this towards you, and I prefer not to." Capiche? She said, "Yes, but when you say that, you will declare that I am a jerk," or something like that, "as I am a jerk always. Not that when you react like that, or when you say things like that, you're being a jerk. It feels like you're being a jerk then." I was like, "What are you splitting hairs with me for? Jesus Christ, you're a pain in the ass." She's like, "That's exactly what I mean right there." I said, "What? You're a pain in the ass. Am I always a pain in the ass? Or are you frustrated just right now?" Because when you make negative declarations about me, it hurts me because it feels like that's how you always think of me, and that you've just been hiding it, which means that everything else has been a lie up until that point, and then the truth comes out, and the truth is you think I'm a fucking asshole. I'm like, oh, I'm tracking. Like when you told everybody on the podcast that you thought I was an asshole, and then you just found out I was a total piece of shit instead. She did that. That was pretty hilarious. She's like, I didn't know how I was going to say that. I'm like, welcome to radio, bitch. Oh, gotta love it when the awkward stuff happens. So I was like, oh, okay, let me process that. So if I'm being honest and I'm giving you feedback about a situation that I do not like, I just need to make sure that I curb my language to explain that when that happened, though, when that scenario happens, this is how I view you during that scenario. Not that I think you're always an asshole, and I've just been putting up with it until you piss me off and I lash out. She's like, yes. I'm like, oh, you've been trying to teach me this for like a year, haven't you? She's like, yes. You know, we've had a few moments, over the year, maybe 3 or 4 times, 3 times, I think. When things got heated. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for the feedback. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that out. So when you do that, that's how I'm gonna react to it. Do you understand? And she's like, I understand. I said, cool. I miss you. I love you. And you don't have to ask if we're gonna be okay. The fact that we even have a discussion about it instead of just, when you're a long distance relationship, when we're together, it's like honeymoon phase, right? We're together every month or 2 for a few, 2 to 3 days, 3 to 4 days. It's like honeymoon phase. You're not gonna fight. It's like, the whole time is just like, yay, I love grocery shopping, and I love Walmart too. It's like all the things that are ghetto in my town suddenly seem better in her town, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of black people here. She's like, shut up. What is wrong with you? I'm like, I just noticed. I was wearing this Tupac shirt and this do-rag on my head and these Echo sweatpants and a big silver chain around my neck. And I got one of those what are those fermented iced tea thingies that bubble? They make they got acidophilus in it. Whatever those things. I forget what they're called. Those probiotic teas you can buy. Well, I was thirsty when I went to go shop. I was bringing it back to my place, and I was in Apple Valley, and the store wasn't very packed. 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Winco, love that place. And I was drinking my God. This is why I need somebody on the show. Like, somebody chat me. What the fuck is it called? I was drinking my probiotic tea thingy. It's always at the front of the stores. Let me look it up. Probiotic tea. See what it's called. Rev Biotics, Natural Grocers. That's not it. It's they have a fancy name for it, but it's literally like they take a black tea and they let it ferment, and then they add flavors to it. And then they take that fermented mother and they use it to make a new one. Kombucha. There we go. Thanks, Jamie. Good job. kombucha. That's what it is. So I had my kombucha, and I'm not kidding the way I was dressed. You guys can imagine. I was dressed exactly like that. And I remember I'm pushing my cart along, and I'm listening to Sagar and Crystal podcast, a little political talk show. And I take a swig of my kombucha, and there's a guy with his family about 100 feet away, 150 feet away. He is like, I was like, yeah, kombucha. I was like, yeah, that guy likes kombucha. And then I was like, what's up, brother? Kombucha. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, he pumped his chest. And I was like, yeah, pump my chest. I'm like, this guy likes fucking kombucha. And then he was African American. I don't know. He was black. He was black. His family was black. 3 kids, wife, himself. I was like, yeah, what's up? Kombucha brother. I forgot what I was dressed like. So he must have been like his cousins. I'm not kidding. It looked like other family, like legit. They were like, hey, and the kids all run off together. Another group of about 5 come in, a family of 5. And then the guy goes to his friend, I guess, or friend or brother. He's like, hey. And then he points to me. And the guy's like, yo. I was like, kombucha. Like, all my kombucha was gone. And I was feeling like, shit, I feel like I should get another kombucha. Obviously, these black folk here in Apple Valley like kombucha. And I didn't know that was going to be my gateway drug into backyard barbecues and Domino's, which is important because you get invited once in your family forever. So the other guy goes, hey. And I was like, hey. He's like, Tupac forever. And I looked down and I realized I'm wearing a long sleeve black Tupac shirt with Tupac. All eyes on me. So I've got Black Echo sweatpants on, this long black t-shirt, long sleeve, Pac. I've got a do-rag on my head, a chain. I thought we were bonding over kombucha. I'm so fucking glad I wasn't close enough at the time for them to hear me. We were bonding over Pac, and I was the token white guy. Because I look around, there's like them, and there's like some employees. That was it. And I was like, oh, they thought I was cool because I'm dressed. Because I'm dressed like, yeah, because I'm dressed like that. And they're like, they weren't like cultural appropriation. They weren't mad. They were like, yeah. And I was like, see, there I go, bringing the races together again. That's how I do. And it's funny, like I'll dress however I dress however the fuck I want. I do not care. I do not care. If I want to dress like a brother and I want to wear chains, if I want to drive down the street with a fake Afro on, I did yesterday, I do what I want. I don't care. I was blasting a new version of Colors while wearing an Afro wig to go pick up my daughter and my drop top. Because I'm a fool. To me, I'm not mocking anybody. I'm loving. I'm all about loving. So this interaction happens, and I start texting Rebecca. I was like, hey, I'll be back to the house shortly. This just happened. And she's like, you're so full of shit. There are not 10 black people in Apple Valley. I said, there are. She's like, no, Victorville, yes. Victorville, yes. And so this is that point of discussion we had. Like every wherever you go, they say what home is where the heart is, right? Wherever you go, there you are. I was like, Victorville, California, Apple Valley, California, Tucson, Arizona. Like they're all high desert. It's all like same weather, same shitty weather, same altitude. It's very, very, very similar in that regards. It's the desert. They even call it the high desert there. I had noticed the population change, because I never really paid close attention, because I've let's see, I've had a couple of friends who are black in Tucson in the last 18 years, like two. They moved away. And then I've had coworkers and whatnot, like, friends like coworkers, but not friends like we hang out regularly. I had some regular hangout friends before that. But it never really dawned on me that the population density wasn't very high here, until I was going to get gas, and I was wearing a leather do-rag that I had just bought. I was in my hoopty. I put it on after work, and I was bumping some Tyler the Creator in traffic, and this suburbanite guy wearing a tie and looking like a tie in his pickup truck and his office job, saw me leaning back with my shades on and my do-rag, and I'm bumping to Tyler the Creator, and then he was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Ooh," and then he's black, I was white. We're just representing that same demographic of dad bod biker beard for the most part. I just happened to switch into my street gear quicker after work. And there was this other moment where here I am feeling like I'm culturally appropriating. No, I'm not. I don't believe in that. I grew up with it. I like the music. I like the whatever. I was enjoying myself. And then he was like, "There you go. Represent, son. Son." I was like, "Yeah, son." And then I talked to Rebecca about that. And she's like, I said, what was crazy was I was running really low on gas. And I turned, I turned on the second turn, or the first turn to the left instead of the second turn to the left. And I found myself in a very dark part of town at 6 o'clock in the evening. But when I pulled over to get gas at the Circle K, it's a different environment. Like there's a couple miles out here where a little more homeless, more poor, more destitute, and definitely more melanin. It just happens to be that area. I never really processed it until I wound up there. And then I remember I pulled up, and my dumb Caucasian self had this moment where I'm like, I don't know how you can say, Betty, get back in the car and let's go. And I realized as I get out of my car, which is a Kia Amante, so it looks like a silver Lincoln. As I get out, and I've got limo tint, and I was just bumping my music, Tyler the Creator. And I get out, and I've got the shades on, and I've got my my skull wrap and my shirt untucked, and I have a limp, and I walk kind of crooked because my back is fucked. So I had my cane at the time on top of that. As I'm dragging my left leg, and I'm like partying through this kind of sea of vagrants, I realized they were parting ways, and like, hey, like they were kind of like bound, like, hey, what's up, what's up? They gave me space. They cut a wide berth. And what dawned on me was I looked like confidently either like I got out of prison and I just somehow never got caught up in the Aryan Brotherhood, or I did and I converted, and I'm celebrating how everybody else lives now too. But I realized with my cane and my do-rag and my beard, my glasses, and my strange musical choice, they were like, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. Whatever the fuck he is, he's crazy. In my head, I'm like, should I lock my doors? I got my hand in my pocket and I want to go beep beep. And I'm like, I'm not going to take anything out of my car. They can't figure me out. They're like, this guy is either someone important or he's insane. That makes him dangerous too. So this all happened. This was like, traffic. Hey, brother. And then me winding up in this neighborhood. Everybody's like, hey, wash your windows for free. Like, no, we're good, man. And as I'm pondering to her, well, this is crazy. I said, I am repairing race relations across America, one wrong turn at a time. I'll tell you that. She's like, you're so stupid. And as I'm talking about it, she's like, why does this sound like it's rare? I'm like, well, it is. Hey, what do you need? Juice? Thirsty? Hug? They're not with me. Ugh. My ears are sweaty. I think you meant her. I know. Sure. Cool. I love you. Welcome back. Hands off. There we go. Colors. So, don't want too much of that one. Sorry, my teenage daughter needs a hug. He's gonna get a hug. Oh yeah. So after when I'm explaining everything that happened to her, that was a week away from me in Apple Valley, and Tupac thing happened. I'm like looking it up on my phone, and I'm like, percentage of African American people in like your neighborhood are like it's like 15%, 20%, 50, I think 15%. I think that's normal. So what is in Tucson? I don't know. 6. She's like, oh. She's like, weren't there more? Did you know black people when you grew up in San Diego? I'm like, yeah, of course. Literally, my friends. She's like, I was just trying to figure out why you're like you get so excited about these dumb interactions you have with people, only because you don't have them the same way. She's like, yes, I do. And I recall, yes, she has like multiple black girlfriends, and she fits in perfectly with them too. So then flash forward, I'm there in Apple Valley, which is apparently only 10 black people in that town. I met all 10 of them at the window, and they liked kombucha, and they liked Tupac, they liked me. So there you go. What was the point of all of this? I don't know. All eyes on you guys. So we could break for a minute. When we come back, we're going to take a look at. C-SPAN. We'll show you some cool stuff on C-SPAN, and then colors, colors, colors. There we go. And bring the computer to life. Switch camera angles. What else on C-SPAN? And if I'm not too tired, we're also going to do what? I forgot. Oh, I was going to show you guys how to do some viral YouTube shorts. I figured that stuff out. Actually, quite cool. All right, don't go away. Don't go far. Smoke if you got them. Go pee pee. Look at the nice stuff. That's funny. I was off mic the whole time. That's perfect. Anyways, rats. Welcome back. Show Call Show. Those are 5 of the rats. They're alright. I like them. Alright, let's switch a little bit. We'll switch our video to live number 2. Tink. Boom. This is up close and tight. Switch that Rode pod mic to live. Testing. Test. Sorry. Test. Echoing. Pressure. Screen has some things of red in this one over here. Not so much. There's a much white, much whiter. Check out C-SPAN. C-SPAN. Connects. So, we get a little history of C-SPAN. C-SPAN is around here, so right around the same time as CNN. I don't recall if C-SPAN was gifted by CNN. It's just part of excuse me. Let's look it up. Let's find out. When cable network news became a thing, bandwidth was gifted to the government so they can have full disclosure and accountability for anybody else, or for any of the viewing audience who wanted to see what was going on in Congress, what was going on in the Senate. And then just my understanding that the government has never paid because it was gifted. And it makes sense. There's no collusion there. There's no I'll give you free cable and you don't mess with us. I'm sure. But the idea that C-SPAN would give the public access to the government and what they were doing. Now, what you usually see with C-SPAN is a non-quorum, shot of Congress. No one's there. And it's just like a countdown timer. And they're hoping people show up. And it's got that, welcome to C-SPAN. Well, I did a little C-SPAN research today because I saw a video of somebody getting pissed off might have been Rand Paul with Anthony Fauci, or I'm not sure precisely who it was, but it was a news clip. And then I realized on YouTube it was stamped Forbes News. I said, that's cool. Like I want to be able to show clips. I want to be able to show stuff that's going on, and not have to be using somebody else's feed in order to do it. Now you can, when it comes to news, there's fair use. Fair use 100% covers things that are newsworthy. So even if you were to use, Fox's coverage of something, technically you could do it. But I don't want to be like that. I also don't. I don't want a subscription service to Reuters or API. I don't particularly like their news anyway. I don't really like their very, very, very left-leaning perspective. So I thought, well, this is a Senate hearing. I bet I can find it on C-SPAN. Let me go take a look. And sure enough, this is pretty remarkable. I know I've talked to you guys about archive.org, which is cool. You can go find. Oh, we put on background music. I forgot about that. Let's see that. There's ambient noise. Ambient. I love ambient. Ooh, there's some ambient. Alright, now we have some ambient. I'm going to share my screen with you. Share system audio. Let's take a look. So, I go to C-SPAN. And I want to look up some incendiary stuff. Because I like incendiary stuff. So I type in. Now, look at the top, guys. This is C-SPAN. Never been to his website until today. I know it's existed my whole life. But nothing else about it. So up here it says quick guide, 277,829 hours of video. And you're like, what? Yeah, it's like 40 years worth of video. So it says created by Cable in 1979. You have all their series that they have. I didn't know they had a series: American History TV, Book TV, Campaign 2024, Campaign 2022, In Depth, Prime Minister's Questions, Q&A, Washington Journal series, A through Z. Then you got American History TV. And then what do you got over here? Book TV. Don't even know what this is. Washington Journal, Q&A, Book TV, In Depth with Dan Abrams. Author, TV host, and Abrams Media founder and CEO Dan Abrams joins Book TV to talk and take calls about U.S. legal history and the American legal system today. His books include Lincoln's Last Trial and Alabama versus King. Senator Patrick Leahy reflects on his nearly 50 years in the U.S. Senate. He's interviewed by U.S. Today's Susan Page. So look, I mean, if you are interested in everything like I am, this is exciting. Take back your power. 10 new rules for women at work. Rule number 1, you shouldn't be there. Rule number 2, it's a job, not a career. I'm just kidding. 25th anniversary of Mitch album's Tuesdays with Maury. One damn thing after another. Bill Barr. That guy's such a curmudgeon. I like him though. So, this is all part of C-SPAN. So I had come up here and I wanted to see if there was anything else. Actually, the gentleman that I looked up was actually really, really cool. His name is Byron Donalds. You go, yeah, you know him, the congressman, first-term congressman from Florida. Yes, not Matt Gaetz, like you're seeing there, who's also, he's like a second or third-term congressman. from Florida. Byron, I see him get up to testify or to ask questions around the economy. They're having a oversight hearing on the state of the economy and employment and inflation. And because they're the majority party are the Democrats, guess who has more voices than the other? The Democrats, of course. So it's like you got it's like 4 against 1 basically. You have one dissenter. The chair is Democrat, obviously. The co-chair is Republican, and then you have like 3 or 4, maybe 4, 5, 6 Democrat experts on their perspective of the economy and what causing inflation, and then you have one dissenter voice, and then a couple of Congress people who testify. I didn't know that's how oversight meetings go. They said the last time they did an oversight meeting was due to like flea and tick dog collars. So they were kind of excited to actually talk about something of substance, which is how did this economy turn like this? What are the likely causes? Well, you have 4 people who won't, who blame corporate greed. All the Democrats blame corporate greed, and then the conservatives blame COVID economics and pumping money into an economy while people were taken out of work, did not produce the goods, even though there was a high supply side that then started to replenish those goods, and there was no workforce happening in order to replenish them. And that's where you run into deficits, and you run into 2 quarters of negative GDP in a recession. So it was interesting. I wound up watching the whole thing, even though it was named Byron Donalds, who actually grabbed my attention because he came in and he swept. He was very clear, and he was very, like, he had all his ducks in a row. I guess I can say that. So let's find it. It's not CPAC. So, was it Byron Donalds? Oversight inflation. The economy's stupid. Well, what the hell? Videos. Byron Donalds. Hearing on corporate influence over inflation. Here we go. This is it. 587 views. Now, guys, this is like watching paint dry to you, but I want my Congress people to know what the fuck they're talking about. So I watch this for you guys, so you don't have to. That's the whole idea of shelf help. I'll do that work. You do the work of getting better. How about that? So I listen to them talk out of the corner of their mouths to each other and make up lies and gang up on each other. And I find it disgusting. I find it irritating that they literally just talk in circles. Well, here's another paid for Democrat expert, Robert Reich, the midget from Stanford or whatever his name is. Dislike.
C-SPAN is not federally funded. It's thanks to the cable and satellite companies that provide our public service.
Yep.
Somebody heard testimony from the
comments. This is contributor.
The hearing is an hour and a half.
Labor for money in order to have been using for 80 years now. We've called.
Right. So he's one of the last ones. They're having sound difficulties, so bear with them a moment.
Change language now because please. Okay, channel if you are ready. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. Let's that here for a moment. We are in a recession. We have had 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. I don't know in what world we decided we wanted to change that definition. That not only but what financial markets have been using for 80 years now. We call negative quarters growth a recession. Why are we trying to change language now? Because economic policies by Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress have brought forward a couple of things. Number one, an artificial labor shortage coming out of the pandemic. I don't know what I was here for opening remarks. My apologies. Doctor, why was the labor shortage coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic?
We're actually
Dr. Mahmood, there was a labor shortage that was coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic.
There you go.
I don't think we had a labor shortage. We had a shortage of good jobs.
Do we have a labor shortage coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, we had 1.5 million early retirements. We had 3.7 million Americans indicating that they didn't look for the work for the past months because of the pandemic. They had an expansion, extension, supplemental insurance benefit exacerbated the labor supply shortage.
Let's get out of the statistical world. Let's go, America.
All right, so check that out. He comes in, he's confident, he knows what he's talking about. He's like, let's reset here. So let's reset some terms, so we don't talk in terms. And then he asks the Dr. Mahmood, who's the Democrat, just to confirm something very simple. At which point, she talks in talking points and not to the point. At which point, cuts her off, says, "You're not answering my question," politely. And then as she circles around more bullshit, he calls on Goodspeed, who rattles off exactly the facts. Not based on feelings, not based on whether you thought it was a good job or not, just based on facts. So, can we appreciate that so far? I can.
You buy goods and services like any other American does. I'm sure you went to stores where the signs were in the windows about how they were basically paying people to come for an interview, let alone for the job itself. Do you acknowledge that what was happening?
Yes, I also want to acknowledge that low job quality and low wages are crucial in our economy. I mean, the last recently averted rail strike is an example of this, right? When you don't have workers who can come to work because they literally can't take a routine doctor's appointment, that's not the fault of that worker. That's the fault of the company that is driving down.
Dr. Mahmood, do you acknowledge that if somebody is giving dollars, if they're given revenue, if they're given cash, and they don't have to exchange their labor for money in order to pay for goods and services, that lowers the productivity or the desire to actually go get working hours at a company or firm, a shop, or whatever the case may be?
I believe that people should be treated with dignity at work.
I believe everybody should be treated with dignity, but that's not what we're talking about. When it comes to labor shortages, what we're trying to surmise is that if you go down the pathway of providing dollars to people, and they don't have to exchange labor, which is the way our economy functions, for money to pay for their goods and services, do you think that leads to a labor shortage, yes or no?
Like I said, I believe we're experiencing a shortage of good jobs, not a shortage of labor. And it's really not to blame working people.
People, I would say, is I blame government policy. Because if you're given money without having to exchange it with labor, having to take your talents and abilities, and you're getting money as a result, it depends on the of the individual at that point. I'm not blaming anybody. If you're giving out free money, shoot, okay, cool. Most people just go ahead and take it. We know this, but if you have a legitimate economic choice to make at your kitchen table, I can go work 40 hours, or I can go work 20 hours, and our living does not change. People have their own decisions to make about what they're going to do. The point I'm making is that labor shortage, which was created by the quote-unquote American Rescue Plan, led to a labor shortage. And that labor shortage has led to price increases because you had people who had the revenue and the disposable cash flow to buy goods, but not enough goods in circulation to purchase. Mr. Goodspeed, is that an accurate assessment of what's happened in America since Joe Biden became president of the United States?
Yes, I think that's a fair description.
Very nice, Goodspeed. Very nice. Goodspeed. He's a good lapdog. So I'm watching this guy, and I have to assume that you're human. You got to have at least that same reaction. I like it when somebody has a clear point of view based on logic, not based on feelings, not based on talking points, not based on lies, not based on hypotheticals. Just present your point. I'm not saying who's right or wrong. I think corporate greed is a thing. I think when recessions hit, that these corporations say we can jack up the prices and we'll never have to bring them back down again. And they know, and they make landslide profits during recessions at the beginning. That's how they do. But, if you're Procter & Gamble and you control all the toiletries, all of them, or 85% of them, where are people going to go? So, yeah, is corporate greed a part of the problem? Well, sure, of course. If you look at markups and how much revenue or how much profit they're making now compared to 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, it's really high. It's really high. If you look at how much of the company balance sheet is going into paying for employee wages versus going into stockholder equity, well, yeah, stockholder equity is really high right now. It absolutely is. But stockholder equity also pays people's 401ks. Also, people invest their money into these companies, assuming that they're going to be profitable, assuming that by investing in them, that they are going to then be able to subsidize their own retirement as they get older and be able to capitalize on what they worked for. So, but what the Democrats want to say, this had nothing to do with any decisions made by this presidency at all. It's just a myth. Well, I don't. That's not a myth. It's bullshit. It's probably 70-30. But I like this guy because he's just like, he's polite, even when, hey, I believe that treating people fairly is important too. That's not what we're talking about. I like it. I like how he reacts.
So, thanks. Yes, prices are up. The only reason why fuel gas is down is because the president's been basically buying down the price with the petroleum reserve. But that's coming to an end as well. We are in a recession. I think we've covered a lot of it. Look, I understand the majority of the desire is on America to raise prices. But if you do not have enough working, there's not enough goods produced. If there's not enough goods produced, but everybody still up. Inflation is always created. More of the same is only going to lead us further down the road to perdition, which we are already on. With that, I yield back.
Thank you,
For a close.
Shelf Help Show. Dead Bud Biker Beard. C-SPAN right there at its greatest. I like it when people don't put up with any crap. Who are your favorite? Who are your favorite take no prisoner politicians? Do you have them? Do you guys pay attention to Instagram? Do you get how about when Rand Paul tears into dipshit, what's his name? Anthony Fauci. Don't you just love those? Those are some of my favorite. Those are some of the best ones. He is ruthless. Ruthless. He doesn't put up with any of Fauci's crap. He has vowed to crucify Fauci and just wipe him out. So let's take a look at a fun one. I'm going to show you one more heated one. It's like it seems with Matt Gaetz. Dude, Matt Gaetz is hardcore, dude. Matt Gaetz has allegations of corruption and trafficking and all sorts of bad things. But when he stands up and grills the powers that be, it's like no bullshit. It's pretty impressive. Now he might be getting kicked out and going to jail for rubbing peepees with a 17-year-old girl. It's possible, but I'm not asking him to babysit my kids. And I do believe in the rule of law, habeas corpus, until he's convicted or indicted. I still like to see him do his job and come at me, bro. So here's Matt Gaetz. I believe this is with. There's one with Mayorkas, who's the Department of Homeland Security puss. There's another one he's going after. Is this the chief of staff? We'll find out. Let's watch the college boy get angry.
You guys told us that lose. You told the Taliban couldn't immediately win. What in the $773 billion that you're requesting today is going to help you make assessments that are accurate in the face of blown calls.
You've seen what's in our budget. You've seen how the budget's not just a strategy, and so I'll let that speak for itself.
Well, I mean, I've also seen that we're behind in hypersonics. We failed to deter Russia. Last year,
What do you mean we're behind in hypersonics?
who's ahead in hypersonics?
How do you make that assessment?
I don't know. I make that assessment because China is building hypersonic weapons we are still developing them. I make that assessment because Russia acts only for development. By the way, your own people brief us that we are behind in China. Are you aware of the briefings we get on hypersonics?
I am certainly aware of briefings that we provide to
But it's not just the hypersonics, it's all over the world. It's in Taiwan, where China's last year for more resources than ever before. It's North Korea on pace to shatter prior records the number of missiles that they are testing. And so while everyone else in the world seems to be developing capabilities and being more strategic, we got time to embrace critical race theory at West Point, to embrace socialism at the National Defense University, to do mandatory pronoun training.
Again, this is the most capable, the most combat-critical force in the world. It has been, and it will be so going forward.
Not if we continue down this path, not if we embrace socialism.
The fact that you're embarrassed by your country.
No, I'm embarrassed by your leadership. I am not embarrassed by my country. I wish we were not losing to China. You know what? That is so disgraceful that you would sit here and conflate your failures with the failures of the uniformed service members. You guys said that Russia would overrun Ukraine in 36 days. You said that the Taliban would be kept for months. You totally blew those calls. And maybe we would be better at them if the National Defense University actually worked a little more on strategy and a little less on wokeism.
Ukraine because of what we've done and our allies have done.
That was because of your flawed assessment. And so I saw that the Obama administration tried to destroy our military by starving it of resources, and it seems the Biden administration is trying to destroy our military by force feeding it war business.
Oh. What do you think? What do you think? It's pretty fun, huh? I almost want to do one more because this guy is so worked effing up. I love it. Matt Gaetz. Like, if you talk to your dad like that, wouldn't he smack you in the mouth? You know? If you, but I want my lawmaker to talk to those who are asking for money like this. I want you to call them out. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable.
Mr. Gaetz, 1.2 million people are undetained, free, roaming about the country. They've gone before a judge. The judge has issued a final order of removal. How many ICE agents do you need to deport them?
Congressman, I think what we need is legislation to fix the broken immigration system.
We don't need legislation to overcome a final order of removal. Look, I get it. You want comprehensive immigration reform and a big amnesty. Very unlikely that's going to happen. We have to operate under the laws that exist now. The judge has told 1.2 people that they have no right to be here. Do you plan to remove those 1 million people?
Congressman, with the resources we have, and I appreciate the opportunity to answer your question fully. With the resources we have to allocate those resources.
How much money do you support all? How much money? How much money? How many agents? How many agents?
This guy sounds like a milk toast.
What the judge said has no right to be.
Congressman,
Your
question raises with respect to whether all those individuals actually have any process.
No. These are people who have due process. Okay, and here's the point: you have planned to. You don't know how many ICE to take. You don't know how much money you take because you actually don't remove. That's why you issued the September 30th guidance. Well, you know, if you have been crime, just get remove it. Is that your position?
No, it isn't, Congressman. Not at all.
Then what is your plan to remove the 1.2 million?
Let me, if I may.
Oh, you should.
If I may.
Yes.
As a former prosecutor, let me ask you a question. If one has a finite amount of resources and one has a finite number of hours, and
1.21 gigawatts.
Removing 20 shoplifters or 3 fugitive armed bank robbers, how would you spend your time?
I know how you spend yours. I know how you spend yours by decreasing by 48% the number of criminals you arrest, by deporting 63% fewer convicted criminals. You have the lowest deportation rate in the history of the department, right?
Your data that you cite is misleading.
No, it's your data. This is actually what your own agency is reporting. So do you think that this might be the case? One reason that we will encounter the highest number of illegal immigration in our nation's history this month and next month because everybody knows that even if they come here, even if they go through the removal procedures, even if a judge issues a final order, you still think there might be more due process, and you have no plan to remove them. And then when I ask you what the plan is, you say, oh, well, resources, I got to make finite decisions. I go back to my first question. How many ICE agents to remove the 1.2 million?
Congressman, please to provide you with the resourcing data subsequent to this hearing.
I think telling that you got plans for pronouns and you got plans for misinformation, but when it comes to the plan to remove the people that have had due process, you don't have one at all. Now, 800,000 people have encountered your CE agents, and those folks have been released into the country. Like some of those people are going to commit crimes, aren't they?
Congressman, may I have a moment to
answer your questions?
Will some of the agents commit crimes, yes or no?
Undoubtedly.
And so the Americans who are the victims of the crimes for the people that you release in the country are collateral damage that you are willing to accept in order to have our order function as a
turnstile. You're willing to accept that collateral damage.
Congressman, I couldn't disagree with you more.
Let me give you, if I can, some data
that
will
will
actually
actually
More than the data, how about this? How did it feel to you when you went to the border and the Border Patrol agents turned their back on you?
one
Border
Border
Patrol agent
turned his back on me, and I addressed that
as
as
the
only
leader
of the
of the Department of Homeland Security.
So
If I could return to data because I want to
We
make
see
sure that you
that
have accurate information.
everyone knows that you have more people coming than ever, and you're removing fewer people than ever, and it's because you have no plan and because it's on purpose. See, I don't buy the theory that you don't know how to do this. I think you're actually a highly competent dude. But the reality is, your plan is to bring these people in and to send the message to the smugglers and the criminals that they will never have to leave. That's why your workforce turns their back on you. If you have tools that you could use to deport these people, you have facial recognition, you have flights going all over the country dropping people off, and I think we ought to use the best tools in the country to find these folks, round them up like they were at the Capitol on January 6th, and deport every last one of them. I yield back.
Gentlemen, you're back with that.
So what do you think? He has a point, doesn't he? He has a point. He's like, you don't have a plan. That's my point. Well, let's talk in circles and out of my ass. This is the same guy who, the thought police. What are they called? He came up with a Department of Misinformation, right? Only because those who found out that they created a Department of Misinformation that was going to be run by this crazy hippie chick who did music video memes and perpetrated wokeism to the nth degree. Did that get shut down? So the Patriot Act was the first time we said, look, take our freedoms, please. Because we're in a vulnerable state, we are going to allow you to take our freedoms. You can spy on us. You can do away with due process. If I become a whistleblower, you can prosecute me. And I do not have the right to speak in my own defense or on my own behalf or explain why I did what I did. You have all the power. Yes, please. That's where it started. It's pretty sad. We just give up a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's like the average American. You see a blip on the news for a second, and you're just like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Well, all right, so they're going to suspend the DACA thing. Okay, well, they're going to suspend, the catch and release. They're going to suspend this. Okay, well, it's just more people who, need a place to live. That's what it is. But then you forget that what this party does is this party tries to find the next group that it can rule because they are not the ones who freed the slaves. That's the Republicans. They are not the ones who voted in civil rights. That's the Republicans. It's the wrong party. It's the party who was having their slaves taken away, their Jim Crow laws taken away, and their subjugated party taken away, who has preyed on those groups of people. Because if you can keep them on a subsistence living, and you can keep them desperate and weak, then you can be the hero always. So they've just always, the Democrat Party has found a way to make themselves the hero. And if you do that, then you have voters for a lifetime, right? For a lifetime. And that's what they want. So what happens 150 years later when people start waking up and the African American community starts waking up and the Democrat Party thinks, well, We don't get control very often, but when we do, we need to maximize it. We have to. What do we do? Well, the best way to keep your left-wing ideologue concepts going is to open the borders. That's your next group of voters. 3.5 million people have come across the border. 3.5 million people have come across the border this in the last year. It's usually like 1.5 million, and they're all catch and release. You guys see it on the news. I think the shenanigans are funny as hell, but the feds have been flying the illegals from out of Texas and dropping them all over the United States. So the news media, the ones who actually pay attention, really like don't catch wind of it. They're like, just spread them out, kind of like Johnny Appleseed, spread them out and around, and make sure people don't catch wind that we're trying to get them from Texas to Montana, and Texas to here, Texas to there, and they've been doing these midnight flights for a long time, trying to be like, nothing to see here, guys, nothing to see here. So then what happens recently when Florida, Ron DeSantis, gets the Florida state legislature to give $12 million of budget specifically to fly and bus illegal immigrants out of Texas or Florida to any of these sanctuary cities. So what are they? I think there's like 1,300 sanctuary cities. They all tend to be far away from the border, because that works out best. If you're going to be a sanctuary city, make sure you're someplace where you're not likely to have to actually do anything, because it's much easier to, what do they call that? Virtue signal if you don't have to follow through. Because people think that just saying things out loud is somehow there's something meaningful or impactful about it. Like, I'm not down with homelessness. Down with homelessness. Like nobody wants homelessness. It's not a virtue for you to say you're against homelessness, you idiot. Down with suffering. These sanctuary cities are being forced to put their money where their mouth is. And they saw it coming when they dropped out, 100 people at Kamala Harris's address? 100 people. Like, she's the border czar. She's been down to the border, and I don't think ever. Has she? Maybe once? She's supposedly the border czar. She's never been to the border. That's lunatic. That woman does nothing. Apparently she acts like the high priestess and expects people to bow to her, and I'm sure those reports are just as exaggerated as saying that Ellen DeGeneres is a cunt. You can't believe that. Yeah, you can. Anybody who acts extra friendly and approachable is acting for a reason. It's like Rosie O'Donnell calling like Tom Cruise, like acting like she has this crush on Tom Cruise. It threw the gaydar off for a while, right? The fact that Rosie O'Donnell is apparently not an easy person to get along with, let's just put it like that. If you took Donald Trump's point of view, she's a fat pig, which makes me laugh because he's not wrong. I think it's funny. I think it's funny to be offensive when it's true. It's even more funny to be offensive. Like, you can't call her a fat pig. Like, why not? She's a fat pig. And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but it just seems really inappropriate because you are right. Matt Gaetz is like that. Matt Gaetz is very much like that. Congressman Gaetz, don't you think it was some reporter, Mr. Congressman Gaetz, don't you think it was offensive to refer to that woman as both overweight overweight and unattractive. And he goes, what? She got offended because I said she was fat and ugly? So what? She's fat and ugly. There you go. Be offended. And I was like, ha ha, ha, ha. But like Jordan Peterson, he got so much crap because he came out when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition came out. They have a size 28 model on there, who's morbidly obese, and he goes like, he goes, not sexy, not sorry. He's like, this is all there is to it. Like, just because you tell me something's sexy doesn't mean it doesn't mean she's sexy. Like, just because you're forcing this, fat and fluffy is beautiful to me, doesn't change biological imperative. Like, you're trying to take away what is normal about human beings, which is who they're attracted to. And you're trying to tell me that you should be, and you're a bad person if you're not, you should be attracted to this other thing, which is not actually attractive to most people. Some people have fetishes, and I heard him explain it later. He's like, it's not to say she's not like a good person. I'm not judging her as a human being at all. I'm judging Sports Illustrated for putting her on the cover of what is absolutely been known for like the last 40 years as the specific issue where you get it and you have no doubt whatsoever that you're going to find classically attractive women scantily clad in their bathing suits. That's what the swimsuit edition has always been about. You can't put a cow on the cover and tell me I got to be excited about it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, just because you tell me that doesn't mean it's true. Excuse me. I mean, am I wrong? Does he have a point? I think he has a point, right? It's the same thing as the woke jokes telling you that if you have a genital preference, and this is a true story, guys. I'm not making this up. The libs of TikTok, check it out. Libs of TikTok, I think that's what it's called. If you have a genital preference, then you are you are a transphobe. Let that process. Okay. If you have a preference, if you refuse to date somebody who has the same genitalia as you, you're phobic, and it's a hate crime. That's nuts. Literally, that's nuts. I don't want nuts. I'm not interested. It's lunatic. If you dismantle all this, I go back to, it's the same time I got divorced. It's the same time that I found Jordan Peterson, 2017, 2018. I found him at the same time because Jordan Peterson, trained psychologist, I would say definitely philosopher, speaker, author, raconteur, historian. He made the news because Bill C-17 out of Canada stated that they were going to make it mandatory to use people's personal pronouns under threat of punishment, fine, and or imprisonment. And he came out and said, no, you can't do that. You cannot regulate speech but to regulate speech is to regulate thought. And you can't tell me how to think. And if in a society you take away the populace's ability to think, then they will never solve the problems that are before them, and they will only compound. So he called us out, and he didn't care what the topic was. He just said, you may not tell me what I have to say. You can't do that. I mean, you can maybe say, like, well, maybe what I shouldn't say, like on a cautionary tale, but don't tell me what I have to say. Like, I refuse. I won't do it. I won't do it. Well, it happened to be around the trans pronouns. So, of course, this little incendiary device happens. And while he's coming down, he's talking about the precedents and the dangers of political correctness and taking away people's right to free speech. How that's a precedent you don't want to set, because the only time that happens in history is when the ruling class does not want anyone to have the legal authority or the right to speak out against them. And that happens when that happens, then that's when you have totalitarian governments and tyrannical rulers, and things go bad and hundreds of millions of people die. Him also being a historian of communist China, and communist Russia rather, and China. They were like, what makes people turn into that? And he's like, he goes, this is reminiscent of that. And it didn't work the first time. And the only reason you would compel someone's speech is so that you can control their thoughts. And that's dangerous. He's like, guys, you should watch for this. So this was 5 years ago. And then I see, frightening. He's kind of calling it out. Like, he did a really good job of playing left, right against the center. Like, he did a good job with it. He's always been kind of like, well, I could be wrong, but leftist ideas are necessary because they're needed when they're needed, and very conservative no change ideas are important because those are needed when they're needed. Because there's times of ebbs and flows with a country, there's ebbs and flows with society, and there's a time when you need to make dramatic change, and there's a time when you need to pump the brakes. And the reason why that we've always worked as a country, and we weren't at each other's throats, but we still had ideologies that weren't, they weren't the same. We've known that. You had friends and neighbors who thought politically differently than you did. It's because he's like, you have to have that in any society in order for it to solve its problems, in order for it to survive. You have to be able to come together, the left and the right, and figure out what your country needs right now. It's like each side has always been necessary. Now, it's only recently that the ruling party right now has literally demonized the other half. And think about that. It's a big half. If you're looking at 75 million people that you were going to declare as enemy of the states and as terrorists, domestic terrorists, like, that's dangerous. That's absolutely dangerous. You can't say that the other party is a danger to democracy and they are just as bad as a domestic terrorist is, under the threat of what? Because we know what we would do with an actual terrorist, right? So you know what they're implying, right? Gulags. Take them out. Take out the opposition. They have been pushing this so hardcore for the last 2 years that it's upsetting. Because you're like, oh, this isn't a joke anymore. Like, you're doing test runs right now. Like, you're going to get up and you're going to say the most insane that I could have imagined anyone would have said 20 years ago. Like, insane. You're literally going to lie. You're going to do one thing, you're going to say another, and you're going to literally lie. And then expect everyone to just follow the lie. And you watch it play out, and you can't just write it off. You can't just be like, well, it'll take care of itself. The agenda is so strong. I think they're so afraid to lose power because they haven't had it, that they're going to do everything they can to keep it. And that's when things become risky. I don't like that at all. I don't mind having a difference of opinion with people. I don't mind changing my opinion, man. Guys, change my opinion. I change my opinion, well, not all the time. If somebody has a compelling argument, and I can understand it and rationalize it, it makes more sense than the argument I have towards maybe an opposite point of view, then I'm open to it. Like, oh, that's more logical. I'm a man. I like to live in logical. I'm not happy living in illogical. So my mind can be changed. But we've gotten to this point where the division is so strong because that's what they need. What is the post-military industrial complex doesn't want you paying attention to what they're doing. So they have to pit you against each other. The other person becomes the enemy. And it's really sad when you think about it. Kumbaya, baby. Like before Rodney King, remember Rodney King? What was that, 93, 94? Right around the time OJ cut his ex-wife's head off and that other guy, and then got away with it. Come to find out, 10 years later, 10 of the jury members admitted that they voted not guilty for O.J. Simpson, not because he was not guilty, but for Rodney King. And guess what? They were all black. Yeah, we did it. Yeah. No, the evidence was obvious. He murdered that bitch. We let him go for Rodney King. We were getting even. And they're like, really? Yeah. Yeah, Rodney King. Jury nullification happened. That's insane. That's insane. Oh my gosh. Well, I got off the hook because I'm the juice. I mean, because I didn't do it. That's what I meant. I didn't do it. Oh, Lord. Anyhow. It's scary. It's scary. I wonder how much of it is rhetoric and noise that I'm just picking up and misunderstanding. I wonder if, like, sometimes I think like I'm a conduit for information and maybe I'm just misreading it. Or maybe there is no truth. And maybe that whatever I'm receiving and whatever you're receiving, your perspective is 100% legit. And so is mine. And then somebody who opposes exactly what I see and they see it as something different, maybe theirs is absolutely legit. I don't know. It's so noisy. And people are trained to not talk to each other anymore. Like, don't have conversations. I mean, I remember being 20 years old and 21 officially, and picking up, 12-pack of beer with my buddy, and we were like, hey, you want to sit on the porch and play cards and drink a case of beer and smoke cigarettes and talk about the world? Yeah. And we would hold court and we would just talk about our philosophy on everything. And we would just share. And it was so important, especially as young men, as you're finding your way in the world and you're trying to create a pathway for yourself. It's so important to develop what your philosophy is. It's actually important every time in your life to have a philosophy. You guys should know some basic things about yourselves. This is some basic self-help show, core function stuff. It's stuff that I hold my kids accountable to and the stuff I would hold you accountable to, which is who are you? And we look at kids who are going through identity crisis. They don't know who they are, what gender they are, all this confusion. Because they're given a menu that's the biggest buffet takeout menu of different ways to fictitiously solve your problem or make up your own here that's ever existed. And it's ridiculous. But, like, don't let your kids diagnose themselves with shit. Don't let them. Don't. You're in charge. But for them and for yourself, ask these questions. What are my core values? Have you ever written down what your core values are? How do you know who you are unless you know what your core values are? So you can say, if I was to ask you, who are you? Tell me who you are. Tell me your name, where you're from, something that you like, your favorite color, your favorite smell. I don't care. Then I want you to tell me, what are 3 core values that are most important to you? These are the values that you take with you on a daily basis. These are the values that you don't want to corrupt or break. These are the values that if you were going to die on a hill for something, these are the values you would do it for. These are the values that if you have progeny and offspring, or you have fans or listeners or friends, these are the values that you would want to represent the most. There are a lot of values. Some simple, basic ones are honesty. As Jordan Peterson says, try to tell the truth, or at least don't lie. And I like that. Try to tell the truth, or at least don't lie. And what is the difference between trying to tell the truth, or at least not lying? Lying is when you speak something to be absolutely not true, but it's like it's become either part of your mythology that you've created for yourself. It's become part of your legend. It's become part of your candy shell. You know, it's the mythos and the exaggerations and the things that you adopted over time that you want to represent you that aren't true. Like you're tougher than you are, smarter than you are. This one time, you're like, that's not a true story. Don't lie to me. No, it's true. It's not a true story. It's not. Don't lie. Everyone has them. So, what other values are most important to you? Some people will say integrity. What is integrity? It's like being trustworthy, right? Think about like the integrity of something that is built. If something is engineered correctly, like a bridge, then the integrity of that bridge would indicate that its likelihood of failing are so insignificant that you wouldn't even think about it as being a concern, right? Or do what you say you're going to do. So if you're a bridge, I'm gonna hold myself for everyone to get across this ravine. Or my integrity as a human being is I say I'm going to be available to do X, Y, and Z on this date. You can trust me, and then make sure you show up. Integrity is the biggest relationship killer between men and women. Is integrity, because if you lack integrity, she can't trust you. If she can't trust you, there's no reason to love you. Period. Integrity. Do what you say you're gonna do, including take out the trash. If she says it's important to me that you take out the trash, and you say I will take out the trash because it's important to you, and then you don't do it over and over again, and you wait her out until she doesn't, guess what? She quit trusting you a long time ago. And your relationship has become something that it no longer resembles. You should check in with her. Because women might forgive, but they will never, ever forget. Trustworthy and integrity matters. So you say, okay, well, here are my core values. My core values are, I like Bon Jovi, cocktails, and one-night stands. Cool. Those aren't values. That's Pauly Shore. Totally different. I like Bon Jovi, cocktails, and one-night stands. Check. So who am I? My name is Jeffrey. I used to be a husband and I'm not anymore, and that actually bums me out, I'll be honest with you. It doesn't bum me out that I'm not her husband anymore. It's kind of a relief in hindsight, because she's a tough one to please. Tough. Very tough. However, Charlie, I would definitely say family man, father, Jeffrey, storyteller. I'm a lover of people. I get excited for new experiences, and I generally enjoy creating new experiences for other people. Like I'll pay $50 for my buddy doll just to upset somebody on this show. Or I'll have Pennywise the Clown in the corner of my house looking over me while I'm working. And a Trump flag that I made my gay daughters at the time. They were all gay at the time. I made my self-professed homosexual daughter sit in front of the Trump flag, and I said, guys, I'll take you. I need to get a picture of you. I need to get a picture of you with my Trump flag. They're like, where did you get this, Father? I said, from my girlfriend. She's like, who's your girlfriend? I said, oh, her name was such and such. They're like, she's pretty. She's young and she's conservative. I said, yeah. I said, but she's black. I'm like, no. And look at you. I thought you guys were woke. Why are you calling out my girl for being conservative and black? You morons. They're like, shocking. So yeah, I'm like, guys, I need to look sadder. The sadder, if I can get a really good picture, because it's looking like you're in timeout, and I'm putting this flag on the wall in your bedroom until you learn your lesson. They're like, we can't cry anymore. I'm like, okay. I showed that picture around work. They were being bad, so I beat them with the Trump flag. Anyways, back to core values. This is weird. Husband always pops into my head first. It's a void I have in my life. That's why I proposed to the love of my life, Rebecca. She said maybe. We'll see. Father, friend, raconteur. This is a storyteller. I'm a caretaker. I like to make people laugh. My values are having some character, which means making good choices because the choices are good to make. Having some integrity. Having character, integrity, and tradition, family tradition. All important things to me. Those are things that define me. Like, so what are the things that you would pass along to your children if you could? Like, what things you want to pass on to your children? Those things. Character, integrity, trustworthiness, family tradition. And then finally, what do you want your legacy to be? Can you answer that question? When you die, and you have to leave this all behind, what do you want to be remembered for? Because now you'll have a compass. Who doesn't need a compass? We need a compass. Who are you? What are your core values? And what do you want your legacy to be? Because here's the thing. We are all hurtling towards our death at an incredible rate of speed, and there's nothing we can do to slow it down. Well, there's nothing we can do to stop it. You can slow it down, I guess. Smoke less, drink less, eat better, exercise more. All in all, I don't know. I'm assuming Joe Rogan's going to live longer than I am. But in the meantime, surround yourself with like-minded people, because rarely do members of the same family grow up under one roof. So when you do that, in the time that we feel like screaming between here and the end, because we're afraid that we don't know why we're here in the first place. If you fill in your life with all those other things, and you know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and you try and live a life according to that is at least meaningful, and you surround yourself with the right people, then at least you have somebody to hold hands with when you go flying over that cliff at the end of it all. But yeah, strive on making yourself a little bit better every day. That's it. I'll do the work so you don't have to. as my youngest daughter says, I effed up my life so you don't have to do it yourself. Come back here. We'll revisit some topics. I'll teach you some things that I learned. And we'll see if we can leave this world a little bit better than how we found it. So, with that in mind, that's it. That's the show. We got a big burst for a while. We had some people watching, 130-ish. So, that's cool. No stress. All right, guys. For the Shelf Help Show, my name is Dad Bod Bikerbeard. Now, Jeffrey with a G, that's me. Love one another and love yourself. Have a good night.